Good day to all of you friends, and welcome to the Esoteric Healing webinar for the pre-full moon garden visualization in Gemini 2022. Friends, I will not go through the reasons why we use a healing garden because I want to concentrate mainly on Gemini in this garden visualization. If you would like, you can have the reasons from previous YouTube recordings. So let's continue to build our healing garden as a group. At some point within the 12 hours prior to each full moon, meeting DK there as he instructed us, turning our garden into a shrine of consecration and intending to offer our group as a chalice for the love and life of hierarchy and the Christ to be poured in selfless service to humanity. So let's gather in our garden. But before we do so, let's have a brief alignment with our own soul. Raise your consciousness into the head, as high in the head as you can. And now carry that consciousness upward through the astral body, then to the mental body, then to the soul. And visualize a lotus fully open, scintillating with light and pulsating like a living heart as a symbol of your soul body. And now place yourself in the center of your lotus, realizing that you, the personality, and you, the soul, are one. And from that point, definitely and consciously assume the attitude of the observer. Observe your personality below and visualize your etheric body and see energy flowing freely up and down your etheric spine. And now consciously throw soul energy down into the center at the base of the spine, using indigo blue light, the color of the ray of love and wisdom, if you don't know, the color of your soul. Now in your imagination, raise it slowly via the 5 centers up the etheric spine, then to the ajna, then to the crown, and into the soul body. And now say the soul mantra with conviction, knowing who you really are. I am the soul. I am light divine. I am will. I am love. I am fixed design. And sound 1 Om as if you were the soul, breathing it out. Now in your mind's eye, see right in the middle of our space of harmony, a lighthouse, standing tall and strong, shining light in all directions as a symbol of our united group soul. And as we gather there quietly, we hear a choir of birds fill the space with their clear, melodious notes, welcoming us to this unique space. A chorus of angelic voices sing a soft tune, accompanied by the sound of harps, divas gently strumming the chords. We feel the soft, cool grass beneath our feet, and the fragrant aroma of the blooms permeates the still air around us. And as we sit quietly and silently around our lighthouse, we feel the gentle warmth of the rays of the sun, warming our cheeks, our faces, and our backs. Nearby, the soft babble of water, cascading gently as it hugs rocks and joyfully spills into the blue pool, reaches our ears. And in the background, the breeze softly swishing through the tall, majestic trees chants a melodic lullaby. Around the lighthouse, we see a large, quiet pool of crystal clear blue waters. And flowing from the pool, we see rivulets as we hear the gentle trickle of water. And we also see 3 wider streams of golden water flowing steadily. Across them are curved wooden bridges. And as we look around, we see a pool where float lotuses of all colors in all stages of bloom. Some are in full bloom, revealing their gorgeous jewel, while others are just budding and barely showing their true color, but all reflecting their light in the healing waters. Just beyond the pool, a hidden path leads us to a cozy and serene corner. A few chairs or a bench and a small fountain containing supercharged vitalizing water, perfumed by a single floating lotus, create the perfect spot for an informal sharing of one's difficulties or words of wisdom, and inhale the perfume of the flowers imbuing the air, as everything in this garden quivers with livingness. And in your imagination, bring in a loved one or a friend in need of healing in this cozy corner. In our mind's eye, we follow a pathway which leads us to flower beds. They are a riot of spring colour, reds and creams and yellows and pinks of such vibrancy, winding their way like a gentle living stream among the trees. A row of violet flowers on either side of the meandering bed happily follows the path of the flowers as they release their subtle perfume. Butterflies with delicate and colourful wings, quivering with life, gently flutter around us, welcoming us to this harmonious space. And their iridescent wings catch the light and twinkle like diamonds in the air. While buzzing bees surf the open spaces from flower to flower, seeking pollen, which scintillates like bright golden pixie dust. This garden that we've just created is our garden, our group garden. But let's take a moment to add a little corner which has our own individual touch. Add the colors, the unique features and flora of your own country that you'd like to blossom in this serene space. Let's now invite also the presence and cooperation of the healing Devas working under Christ and Master DK. They fill the space as they crowd around us, eager to pour their magnetism in service to humanity alongside us. And we choose a spot in our garden where we sit in silence and we link our hearts and minds with a group. And we say the healer's mantra aloud together with purity of motive, inspired by a loving heart. We offer ourselves for this work of healing. This offer we make as a group and to the ones we seek to heal. We open our inner eyes as we endeavor to hold our mind unwaveringly in the group's soul light. We know that Master DK too stands steady, pouring out upon us his loving strength and endeavoring to lift us up into a higher state of consciousness. We are now receptive to Master DK's radiating energy. The light of the lighthouse begins to shine brighter and brighter, intensifying gradually. Soon this light begins to take a shape, and a definite figure appears. And we can see Master DK in our imagination. So from the lighthouse, let us see waves of golden light stream through our group, irradiating the garden around us, enlivening it even more, imbuing our garden with the second ray of love and wisdom of Gemini. Feel the energy of unconditional love fill the space and our hearts. While we listen intuitively to the Master's words, and we let them quench our thirst for loving understanding and touch our hearts to release the healing light of life. Gemini is a sign of relationship. It is the force which produces the changes needed for the evolution of the Christ consciousness at any particular point in time and space. And why? Because Gemini and its inherent second ray influence of love and wisdom controls every one of the pairs of opposites in the great wheel. The second ray of love and wisdom pours through Gemini. Hence love underlies the entire universe. God is love, making Gemini one of the most important of the 12 signs, and its influence lies behind every one of them. Gemini is the light of interplay between the two brothers. Its energies stimulate the consciousness within by shedding light and contrasting opposites, enabling discrimination between the two, in order eventually to facilitate their transmutation into unity. For the two, we are told, must finally become the one. It is a fusion of consciousness of the polar opposites, and its function is to relate the two opposites, soul and body. And at a higher level still, Gemini relates soul and spirit. And the keynote for the disciple in Gemini is, I recognize my other self, and in the waning of that self, I grow and glow. Just like the two allied brothers, Castor and Pollux, the power of the personality or the mortal brother lessens and wanes, while that of the soul or the immortal brother waxes and grows. On the soul plane, there is no separation in consciousness. No my soul or thy soul. There is only one soul. The one is all, says DK. Unity binds all souls, as group consciousness is inherent in the nature of the soul. Just like billions and billions of drops of water make up the vast oceans on earth, so too all the individual units of consciousness make up the universal soul. And Gemini brings this truth to the disciple's consciousness. As we gather in our garden on the inner plane, look around and see the whole group. Realize deeply that we are one soul, and sense the garden around us being imprinted by our realization, absorbing it and soaking it up. Sirius is the source of Buddhi, of cosmic love. Gemini forms a point of entrance of cosmic energy, love and wisdom in our solar system from Sirius. And the energies coming from the sun Sirius are related to the love-wisdom aspect, or to the attractive power of the solar logos, to the soul of that great being. Gemini controls esoterically the heart of our solar system, and thus controls the pulsation of life which sustains all that is. Gemini is therefore connected with the heart of the sun, the love of the whole. Let's ponder for a few minutes on this profound statement. Gemini is connected with the heart of the sun, the love of the whole. A stream of energy coming from the sun Sirius enters directly into hierarchy and carries with it the principle of Buddhi, of cosmic love. This, in a mysterious way, is the principle found at the heart of every atom. And feel that love pulsating in the heart or in the core of every atom in your body. If hierarchy is the heart center of our planetary logos, represented as a lotus, then the Christ, being the head of hierarchy, is the jewel of that lotus. Christ, being a Syrian initiate, is the embodiment of the cosmic ray of love and wisdom, which flows through him and through the jewel of every atom. So let's visualize the Christ, a Syrian initiate, in the middle of our garden, enlivening the heart of every blade of grass, every flower, every tree, every molecule of water and of air of our garden, with the power of Buddhi, of cosmic love from Sirius. Feel that love pouring into your etheric body and into your environment. Now let us visualize a triangle of stupendous spiritual beings. The avatar of synthesis, the embodiment of power and spiritual will at the apex, implementing both light and love. The spirit of peace, the embodiment of love, establishing right human relations. And the Buddha, the embodiment of light. And at the center of this triangle, Christ influences, enlightens, inaugurating an era of right human relations and of right relation to the kingdom of God in the masses of men. The full moon of June 1945 is a very significant day for the spiritual experience of the Christ. It's when he announced his decision to return, and he then took over his responsibilities as teacher and leader of the Aquarian age. He is the first to cover two zodiacal cycles, Piscean and Aquarian, and his Aquarian work will continue for another 2,500 years. So these three great entities stand behind the Christ, powering him. And as a result of Christ's decision made at the June full moon 1945 to reappear, and his spiritual fusion with the will of God, the avatar of synthesis has become, for the time being, his very close associate. And this, DK tells us, is an event of supreme and planetary importance. The avatar of synthesis is a cosmic avatar, an extraplanetary being who has achieved spiritual unfoldment beyond the solar system. His relationship and planned help date from the time of the pronouncing of the great invocation by the Christ and its use by men everywhere. His function, in unison with the energy of the Christ, is to generate spiritual will in humanity, the will to good. We are told that planetary logoi go to these extraplanetary beings for help when the invocative appeal of any planet is adequate. The avatar synthesis is under instruction from Sanat Kumara to fortify and support the Christ, and the silent avatar will keep his eye upon him, his hand beneath him, and his heart in unison with his. There is also another pronounced alignment of a triangle also forming between the Lord of the world, linked through the Manu representing Shambhala, the Christ, the Prince of Peace, representing hierarchy, and the Master Ah, the Lord of Civilization, representing humanity, setting up a potent note and vibration, invoking the Spirit of Peace. The Spirit of Peace, or the Spirit of Equilibrium, is an extraplanetary being of terrific cosmic potency. He is destined to bring peace eventually upon earth through the expression of goodwill, which will bring about right human relations. The Spirit of Peace and the forces of light illumine men's mind with love and light, which precipitate on the mental plane. He will vitalize the responsiveness of humanity via the influence of hierarchy to the will of God, which has for basic intent the bringing of peace on earth. So both the Wesak and the Festival of the Christ must be seen as one. At both full moons we can expect spiritual energies emanating from the Spirit of Peace, the Avatar of Synthesis, and the forces of light from Shambhala via the Buddha to pour powerfully through the Christ to hierarchy. At Wesak, the Buddha evokes in humanity the spirit of demand for the forces of illumination, will to good and life. And this is precipitated by the new group of world servers. And humanity, thus stimulated, asks for help. And at the June full moon, the Christ endeavors to gather unto himself all that they have of appeal, prayer and demand, voiced or unvoiced, transmitting it in an act of spiritual intent to Shambhala. Behind the Christ, focusing with intensity today and preparing for a great act of spiritual cooperation at the time of the June full moon, stands the hierarchy. Together with him, they will invoke a group of spiritual forces called the forces of reconstruction. And at the Gemini full moon, the forces of reconstruction related to the first divine principle of will are released to bring about the rebuilding of the tangible world upon the new lines, to inspire nations with the theme of unity. They will affect the masses of men through the work of men and women of goodwill. And at the Gemini full moon, the Christ, the Lord of love, presents the invocative appeal of the new group of world servers, men of goodwill and the massed intent of the masses. He unifies, synthesizes, and integrates all these forces into one great and potent downpouring of spiritual energy. And he acts as the distributing agent for the forces of enlightenment. So at the June full moon, hierarchy under the guidance of the Christ lets loose this will to good upon humanity. So we hear Decay's voice echoing in our garden. Therefore, my brothers, believe in the reality of the work to be done by these great spiritual potencies, invoked during the 3 full moons of April, May, and June. Go forth to the task of helping humanity, of establishing goodwill, of bringing about human relations, and of restoring a true spiritual perspective with undaunted courage, sure faith, and the firm conviction that mankind is not alone. At the June full moon of 1945, Christ announced his decision as final and irrevocable to reappear again on the physical plane. The reward accorded to the Christ as he announced his decision was the permission, or rather the right, to use a certain great invocation never before granted, and the right to use certain great words of power or stanzas of direction is never lightly accorded, said Decay, as it is one which hitherto had not been permitted to be used except by the most exalted spiritual beings. Christ used it himself for the very first time at the time of the full moon of June 1945, recognized as the full moon of the Christ. And now let's turn to the rulers of Gemini. The orthodox ruler of Gemini is Mercury, who, as the messenger of the gods or the divine intermediary, carries messages between the poles with speed and light. So let's see Mercury, with wings on his heels, illuminate our garden brightly with his light, as the mediator between the 3 aspects of mind, carrying messages from the spiritual triad via the abstract mind to the soul, and from the soul to the lower mind. And through Venus, the esoteric ruler of Gemini, the disciple comes under the power of the mind, but transmuted into wisdom through the instrumentality of love. So let us use our imagination to picture Venus, the goddess of intelligent love, walking with poise through our garden, imbuing our garden with harmony, the inner fusion of heart and mind, of soul and personality, ushering an era of love wisdom, of brotherhood, and of expressed brotherly relationships. And feel this union deeply with every fiber of your being. The hierarchical ruler of Gemini is the Earth itself. And the Earth is also the esoteric ruler of Sagittarius, the polar opposite of Gemini. And Gemini and Sagittarius are the only two constellations ruled by the Earth. And this fact is of major significance, creating an unusual situation in the solar system and a unique relation. The cosmic line of force from Gemini to Sagittarius and the reverse is subjectively and esoterically related to our Earth, thus guaranteeing its soul development, the unfoldment of form as an expression of that soul. From the standpoint of our theme, the evolution of consciousness, it must never be forgotten that the aim is to bring the solar angel, the son of mind, into the seat of power. And this task is preeminently entrusted to the three great lives who function through Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius. So let's surrender to the solar angel and let it take over our personality. So now let's make use of our healing garden by visualizing the flow of unconditional love or the will to good emanating from the triangle, the avatar of synthesis, the spirit of peace, and the Buddha, powering the Christ at the center. And superimpose the emanating triangle on the soul triangle made up of Christ, Master DK, and our soul group. Visualize these two triangles blending and fusing to form one triangle of light and love. Then superimpose these blended triangles on our group chakric triangle, vitalizing it. And this triangle is made up of our group crown chakra, our group ajna, and our group alta major. Bringing the energies of life and light and love right down onto the etheric plane, ready to be distributed through our ajna, right eye, left eye triangle. And now place the blended triangle over the three planetary centers triangle, London, Geneva, and New York. Let loose that will to good. And let it flow to these three inlets of our planet. And from these three inlets, see the energy flowing to the rest of the world via the nadis, the planetary nadis. And let us say the healer's mantra aloud in a low voice, saying it slowly and deliberately, believing in the results. May the love of the one soul, focused in this group, radiate upon you, our fellow men, and permeate every part of your body, healing, soothing, strengthening, and dissipating all that hinders service and good health. May the light of Gemini and the Christ fill the hearts of all those who are touched by our garden. May it stimulate their aspiration, foster the spark of struggling life, and spur them on to love and establish right human relations. And now, just like Christ does daily, standing under his great pine tree in his garden at sunset, with his hands uplifted in blessing over all those who truly and earnestly seek to aspire, let's picture a great pine tree in our garden. And under this pine tree, let's gather around the Christ, Master DK, and the Healing Ashram to say the great invocation aloud together. We will sound a blue Om after each stanza while visualizing the flow of love, light, and will to good. From the point of light within the mind of God, let light stream forth into the minds of men. Let light descend on earth. From the point of love within the heart of God, let love stream forth into the hearts of men. May Christ return to earth. From the center, where the will of God is known, let purpose guide the little wills of men, the purpose which the masters know and serve. From the center, which we call the race of men, let the plan of love and light work out, and may it seal the door where evil dwells. Let light and love and power restore the plan on earth. And now raise your clasp hands above your head and say, "And so let it be," and help us to do our part. Then bring them down to your forehead and let them rest on your heart. May the blessing of the Christ and of hierarchy rest upon all true servers and may they stand tranquil in the midst of strife. May the light of the garden of our souls be on the inner plane what the sun is to the gardens of the world, an illuminating and harmonious haven and a healing pool for many.